Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, your significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, this show is for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create a life you love or love the life you create. Now, here's your host, Dr. April, and co-host, Coach K.
Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Well, this show is live on Facebook, YouTube, and also LinkedIn. So if you're listening and if you have questions about intimacy, and today we are talking about some exciting lube stuff, please feel free to check in. So Coach K, checking in with you. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. Really excited about today's topic. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So you have a little singing voice. I just noticed that.
Yeah, it works better in the shower, but I use it sometimes and outside of it.
Yes. So how is your spring going?
Spring is going good so far because allergies has not taken a full hold of me. It tried it a little bit, so I'm just excited that winter is gone for the most part. How's it been treating you so far?
Oh, it's good. It's good. Spring is a season where everything just, pops open and becomes alive,
Yes.
Yes. And I'm so excited about today's topic because we are talking about lubes. Yes. And lubes, from my understanding and from personal professional, it can, just like spring,
changes everything.
Exactly. Yes. And I was just recently researching, and actually lube businesses are not starting, but it has dramatically increased, especially since the lockdown of COVID and what's going on now. Yes.
I can imagine that people have discovered that lube makes things last longer. They preserve things, and I'm being very vague because our guest is going to, I'm pretty sure, go into some of those more detailed topics, but lube makes the world go round.
Yes, definitely. So before we get to her, our charity of the month, we're almost toward the end of March, but we've been talking about our Mother's Home, which is a great organization, if you're out there, that helps support young moms and having babies and providing housing, shelter, and finances, and helping them with their young baby, and also in helping them get their education. So I want to put it out there on mothershome.org.
Great organization. Mothers need all the support that they can get, as well as the children too.
Yeah, definitely. I think as being a mom, sometimes we can get so stressed out. And I know, in the sense of, if you're out there and you're a mom and you're stressed out and you're like, oh my gosh, one more responsibility. And the thing that I see a lot of in relationships are moms who are stressed, and they're like, oh my gosh, with intimacy, they think it's a chore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was in the single mom realm for about 2 years, the two children under the age of 2. So I know, everything kind of stops and it's kid focused. So intimacy, even with yourself, keeping that alive with yourself, the love for yourself, it takes a back seat to parenthood.
Right. And just as you mentioned, in intimacy with yourself, lube also helps with that too, which is really exciting. You see, I'm all about lube today.
Yes, listen, let it slip and slide. I love it.
Yeah. So since I'm all excited about lube, I don't need to get any more excited. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, I want to introduce our guest, Kaylyn Geddie, and we're going to talk about her fabulous lube, and how it is at a Walmart store in your neighborhood. We'll be back in a moment.
It's time for the Fools in Love Couples Retreat. Join Coach K for a weekend of sharing, exploring, and learning all about the amazing world of relationships and marriage. You will explore and discuss topics such as communication, intimacy, sex, work-life balance, infidelity, and more. For further information on the Fools in Love Couples Retreat, visit foolsinlove2022.eventbrite.com or info@loveandintimacy101.com.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Today's topic is live, laugh, and lube. Yes, with Kaylyn Geddie. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you both so much for having me on.
Yes. And I don't even know why I'm saying good morning, but it's afternoon. I'm just so excited about today's topic. Yes. Well, let me introduce you to Kaylyn. She is a former broadcast journalist, which is wonderful. And she's the founder and the CEO of a women's wellness brand called Chiavaye, which is a personalized moisturizer with the mission to make sexual health not X-rated, but actually about health. She went on this journey, I guess, from because of her own stage 4. You had endometriosis, I think. Yes.
Yeah, endometriosis. Yeah.
Yes. And so her product is loved by gynecologists, pelvic floor, physical therapists. And like I said earlier, it is sold in Walmart throughout the country. And it's really to help women at all stages of life. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's right. Though the passion for me is, intimacy and sex is such a beautiful experience, but it's not the only experience that women have throughout life, right? We go through so many stages, whether it's postpartum issues, dealing with menopause or PCOS, endometriosis. Even women going through chemotherapy experience dryness and discomfort in their private areas. And Chiavaye is a solution for every stage of life. And that's no matter where you are, right? So it's great for sex. It is a lube for sex, wonderful for that. But it's also a multi-use product. So it's a personal moisturizer that you can use daily, no matter what your needs are, right? And so, for example, moms, right? Postpartum moms, it's 6 months after they've had a baby, and things can be very dry and have so much discomfort. And a lot of times physicians will want to put you on very expensive estrogen creams to try to get a lot of your natural wetness back. But those are expensive and they're hormonal and it's a prescription. And so there's all these caveats that make it difficult to obtain. You could use a personal moisturizer instead, put it on daily, morning and night, the way you would moisturize your face or any other part of your body, and it can alleviate those symptoms in the same way. So that was really the genesis behind Chiavaye, was making a product for every stage of life, no matter what your needs are as a woman.
I love that you talked about the everyday moisturizer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really needed. And I find that a lot of men especially are like, oh, you need a product outside of sex? Yeah. As women, sometimes we do, guys. Sometimes we do. And that's why, Chiavaye is very discreet and we use very clean, pure formulation. So organic, certified organic, allergen-free, safe for sensitive skin, 6 ingredients, all natural. I mean, you could eat it. I take my makeup off with it. I put it in my hair. It is the WD-40 of personal care oil, as I like to say.
Wow, yes.
Well, and we know that WD-40 is on a lot of stuff. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just thinking, because you mentioned intimacy. So one of the things we want to always figure out from our guests is, what is your definition of intimacy?
Wow, that feels like a big question. Yes. No, I think that intimacy is, there are so many layers to an intimate relationship, right? For me, intimacy is that ability to be totally vulnerable and transparent with your partner in and out of the bedroom. So intimacy outside the bedroom is vital in my personal life and in my experiences. I think that you have to have a sort of trust and a care and a compassion between two people before you even get naked. And then, of course, once you're naked, that intimacy should be a reflection of the relationship you already have. And so, intimacy can mean a lot of things to different people, but that's what it means to me.
Beautiful. I love how you put that. Yes. And
Thanks.
yeah. Yeah. One of the other things that you said earlier is about the everyday use. And I was just thinking, I don't know if it's because of the environment. Many decades ago, people didn't talk about dryness. And now we have dryness everywhere, and yes. So it's not only our dry skin, our dry face, but it's everywhere. And your product completes it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could use it for whatever you need. Obviously, the purpose was for, your nether regions and any type of vaginal tissue that may need a little extra TLC. But I love your point about this conversation is not taboo the way it used to be. And I'm
Right.
seeing that across generational spaces. So traditionally, we've always seen the younger generations be a little bit more hip and trendy with being outspoken about sexuality. But now, I'm noticing the boomers talking about what they need in their life. And in fact, they're one of the most sexually active generations that we're dealing with right now. And so I love that we are making sexual health conversational. And my mission is to make sexual health not X-rated, but actually about health, because sex is only a small part of
Right.
the whole recipe that goes into a happy, healthy, intimate life.
Right. And so, Kaylyn, I know you're looking at the whole picture, and I'm just thinking myself in the sense of sexual health. And I'm going to ask Coach K, what do you guys think about teaching our girls about the importance of moisturizing not only their face, but kind of like you even say the vagina? Yeah, because if you don't learn when you're young, then when you're 50 like me or older, sometimes it's hard to make those changes. What do you guys think about that?
I'm 1,015,000,000% on board with, teaching our youth to care for their bodies in total from head to toe. Age appropriately, you can have
Right.
those conversations throughout, the same way I have to tell my son every day, put lotion on your knees. They're going to turn into leather. Why would I not want to, tell my daughters the same thing? This is an area that's very important. It's very sensitive. You should keep it moisturized. You love for your face to look nice. The rest of your body should too. What about you, Kaylyn?
Yeah, I agree. I think that for so long, vagina's been a bad word.
Right.
And any type of vaginal care has been a dirty word. And that's partly our society's fault because we over sexualize the female body and the female experience all the time, whether it's breasts and breastfeeding, the naked female form, vagina. Oh my gosh, don't say that bad word. And because of that societal influx, we don't talk about proper care for those personal parts. We don't teach women that, if you moisturize prior to childbirth, you can actually prep that skin and reduce tearing. We're not having those conversations. And that has nothing to do with sex, being naked. It just has everything to do with health and care. So I think the more that we could have these conversations, the better prepared we all would be with the changes that we see in our bodies and throughout life.
Yes.
What you said about childbirth is because I'm also a doula, so that matters. And just thinking about my last three were natural. First was not by choice, but you're thinking you're opening up an area of skin, and without proper moisturants, it just tears open. So that's a good point.
Yeah. I always like to compare vaginal tissue to a rose, right? A rose petal.
Right.
You like a rose when it's full of moisture and it's supple and it's soft and there's flexibility to that rose petal, right? Nobody likes a drying, dead rose that is just withering away. And the same can be said for vaginal tissue, right? And those stages of life are just not conducive to age. You could have too much wine on a Friday night and then wake up and have very, very dried out vaginal tissue the next day. Traveling, diet, salt, hormone fluctuations, it all plays a role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you mind sharing with us your story of having endometriosis and how this even came about?
Oh, yeah, I would love to. So I've had stage 4 endometriosis, my entire life, basically since I started having a period. My grandmother had it, my mother had it. So it was a good idea that I was probably going to have it as well. And what it did was it allowed me to be part of a community and a tribe, not as a marketer or a businesswoman or somebody trying to sell a product, but as a patient and as an advocate. So I learned very early on about the female body, what my body needs, what other women were experiencing. I've had multiple surgeries. I've had every type of prescription pharmaceutical you can imagine to try to treat this disease. It does not work, by the way. It is just a Band-Aid for problems, but hormonal treatments, testosterone, early menopausal treatments, the crazy stuff they throw at you. And I really started on this journey of holistic and natural healing about 6 years ago, right around the time I founded Chiavaye. And I realized that diet and lifestyle impacts inflammation and impacts disease. And it can make a huge difference in how our body responds to diseases or chronic illness. And so along this way, my mom was going through menopause around the same time. And I was talking with her about her body, her changes. And then all my girlfriends were having babies and calling me up being like, I don't know what's going on with my body. What can we do about this? And so there were so many similarities from my experience with endometriosis, women just wanting to have good sexual experiences, postpartum moms, and menopause, that they all were the same. They all were saying the same thing. We need a product that is natural, pure, holistic, won't harm the body, benefits the skin, can be used for multiple purposes, but I don't have to go to the lion's den off of Highway 65 to get it. And so I thought, we can make this happen. And that's how Chiavaye was born. It was born in my kitchen, thinking about formulations, talking with naturopathic doctors, physicians, what would be good ingredients for vaginal tissue, what would work for sex, what would work for dryness, what would work for discomfort, putting them all together, doing a lot of experimenting, and then coming up with the final formulation. And, we've grown massively in the last 6 years. And I think it's because it works and it fills that gap that women are looking for.
Wow. I'm just trying to think. That's just so much.
Well, thank you.
So it actually also helps with, when you said discomfort and pain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the ingredients, it's almond oil, grapeseed oil, coconut oil, sunflower seed oil, evening primrose oil, and vitamin E. And each one of those 6 ingredients provides a different benefit to your vaginal tissue. So for example, sunflower seed oil acts as a barrier oil for friction, which is very important in a vaginal canal. And of course, coconut oil is incredibly hydrating on a cellular level. Evening primrose oil has been used for, hundreds of years by doulas and midwives and holistic healers dealing with inflammation and pain and discomfort. And so all of the ingredients kind of work synergistically to create a great experience, a silky, velvety, smooth experience, but a product that's never going to irritate you or leave you feeling kind of gunky afterwards.
Yes. And how can, in the sense of, because you're doing a great job marketing. Yes. And so some people, when they think of lube, they just think of that whole sexual part. Yeah. How are you working toward changing them to think of it more? Like we're saying, it's about health.
I love that question. And so I really started at the ground up. So this is what the Chiavaye box looks like when you go to the store. And it looks very classy. It looks like any type of skincare product you would find at Sephora. Right. And that was my whole idea, is how do we make this an experience for a woman that doesn't, again, feel like lube? And so, when you open it, it looks, there's a camera. It looks like you bought yourself a present. And that was really important to me because you got to treat yourself. Like that's my motto for life. Right. And so we use a black glass bottle, which maintains product purity over time. So no matter how long, it stays in your bathroom or on your kitchen, not your kit. Well, it could be on your kitchen counter. I don't know. So it could be wherever you want it. My point is that it never looks like a lube. It never looks like a personal moisturizer. It's not frumpy. It doesn't make you feel overly sexual. It's just a very nice glass bottle that looks like another skincare product. And so women gravitated towards that because so many of them felt embarrassed leaving their personal products out, right? How often do you leave tampons on the counter? You don't, right? And so it became the same idea that, well, I want this to be accessible and usable. How do I make that happen for women? And it really comes down to packaging. And then for me, my conversational strategy has never been about triple X stuff or sex. I think it's important. I think it's worth talking about. But I always talk about health. What's your experience? What are you going through as a woman? You just had a baby. You're 6 months out. How are things?
Right.
What are you feeling right now? And then how do we help you achieve your goals? And sometimes those goals, I want to have sex with my husband again. Sometimes those goals are, I just want to feel normal in my clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that packaging. Like,
oh, thank you.
I just love it because, like you said, it fits on a bathroom cabinet. I mean, countertop. The top, even just thinking about the pump that it's in, it's not just that squeezable top.
No.
So,
well, yeah, and and a lot of people forget that plastic, while a fantastic invention, and I have plastic all around me in my office, can sometimes be toxic if it's left on a shelf for too long and it leaches into whatever product is holding it, right? And so that's something for me that I really wanted to be conscious of, because you may not go through a bottle of personal moisturizer or lubricant in a week. It's not something that you're buying like eggs, right? And so I wanted to make sure that that shelf life was very sustainable. And for me, using glass was also just a more earth-friendly option as well, because you can recycle it. And I have a lot of friends who refill these bottles with so much stuff. I have a girlfriend who put cooking oil in it, and she just is squirting that in her frying pan in the morning. I'm like, I love it.
So it comes off as a spray?
It is like a pump. So this is a new bottle, but see how it kind of just pumps into your hand?
Cool.
Don't want to get those mixed up.
Yeah, right. Hey, but you can eat this. I have cooked with it before to prove that point. Yeah, and it's great for guys too. I mean, my husband loves to do mountain climbing and hiking, and so he puts it on his balls for chafing. And it's a great for like cyclists and runners. A lot of my guy friends buy it just for anti-chafing. I have another friend who we live in Colorado. It's very dry here. I have another friend who gets nosebleeds continuously. He swears he puts this up his nose every morning before leaving for work, and he swears it's the one thing that prevents nosebleeds. So we're really lubricating all the holes at Chiavaye.
Yeah.
Leave no hole unprotected.
That's right. Yes. We're all about the holes.
Yeah, which goes into one of the other, our topic was live, laugh, and lube, and you actually put the laugh part in. I saw it on your website. Yeah, where did you get that concept from? Yeah,
and so Live, Laugh, Lube is our motto. We trademarked it actually. So it's now Chiavaye, property of Chiavaye. You know where it comes from. Do y'all remember like back in the 90s and 2000s when all these basic girls had Live, Laugh, Love like all over their houses? And I had it too. I'm not speaking against it. It was trendy. It was very in style. And when I was trying to come up with a tagline or a model, I was like, Live, Laugh, Love? No, Live, Laugh, Lube, baby. So that's the only origin. It's kind of a play off of those early 90s and 2000s vibes.
Yeah, and definitely being able to use it in so many different ways can definitely make you laugh.
Yes. You would not believe the text messages, emails, and DMs I get from people who have discovered new and improved ways to use Chiavaye.
Yeah. And so if you're in Walmart, it's really right on the sexual health aisle of Walmart. Yeah.
So, I mean, in Walmart, Natural Grocers, Air One Market, it's all where you go to buy condoms, other lube. I think it's the same aisle as tampons now. So they call it personal care, basically. And so, you can find it at any Walmart across the country, and then hopefully launching into more stores coming up, because my goal is to put it on every shelf in America because I think women deserve it.
Definitely. Yes. And so as you talked earlier that your mom was going through menopause, how did to get that generation, or even menopause generation too. So I can't be talking about it. Yeah. How did you get them involved with that? Because moisturizer is key.
Oh, yeah. I was really fortunate. I grew up in a household that my mom always discussed the body. I learned about the proper medical terms for my parts, for sex, what sex was at an early age, and not in a non-age appropriate way. There was nothing overly sexualized. There was no graphic details, but I knew what sex was, and we knew about our bodies very early on. And she created an environment where could talk about any conversation at the dinner table that we needed, right? Anything that came up, she would never shame us, judge us. And so we had this really free flowing relationship as I grew into an adult woman, that we could have those experiences. And something that she always talked to me about was it was very hard for her and her friends still to have conversations about sex with their husbands. And I'm thinking, y'all been married for decades. Like, yes. How is that a difficult thing? Like, it's just you two on a walk in the woods. Like, who's going to hear you? But it was very hard for them to have those conversations at, whatever social event they're going to at the time. And so for me, it really became a mission of being matter of fact, never bridging it as though it is a secret taboo conversation. I never whisper. I never judge anybody. It's, hey, how is your vagina? How are you feeling? Because it's just a body part, right? And so one of the ways that we've been able to reach the boomers and that menopausal generation is being super classy about that conversation and just putting it out there in a way that we're talking about coffee and we're happy to be talking about vaginal dryness today. And it seems to work really well. And I think that goes to show that as society and as women, we're actually not as shy as we kind of all think. It's just something that's been so taboo that there's a shame associated with it. And as soon as you remove the stigma and you create this I'm safe, you're safe space, man, do the details come out.
Yeah, once you get the door open, people are ready to walk into it.
Do you guys find the same thing happening in your practices?
Yeah, and I was just even thinking when you said earlier about women having babies, how if they were maybe to use this product, that it would because a lot of women sometimes get tears and rips, and then that's the long-term comment of that and how it affects sex 6-9 months from now.
Yeah,
how using this product would be so beneficial before a baby comes out. And I don't even know if they could even use it in the hospital would be great.
Yeah. I have customers who have emailed me and they take Chiavaye now to their gynecology appointments, to their OB appointments. They've taken it in the hospital for deliveries and just whatever different procedures. A lot of women are having endometriosis surgeries and whatnot, right? Vaginal ultrasounds. And they would prefer to use Chiavaye because the stuff they give you at the hospital, it feels like gloppy glue, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about? And it's cold and they squeeze it out and you're just like, and then after you've had an ultrasound or a vaginal exam and you get up and you're like, oh my gosh, like what is happening?
Like wiping all that goo out.
It's so great. You got to wear a pad for the rest of the day because you don't know what's going to come out of you. And so, and that's one of the reasons for me, we've called almost every gynecology and pelvic floor physical therapy office in the country so far.
Really?
Wow. To introduce the product, send them samples and show their patients that there is an affordable option out there that's not gross.
Mm-hmm.
That's so we play a lube game at some of the parties that I do. And, after it's basically, try to go in dry and then you add the lube. And I always like to get them to just rub it into your hands. If you rub it in and it feels sticky or it leaves residue, you have to think about that's what's being left behind in your body.
Yes. And it's nasty. It grosses me out. But aside from the feeling, I read a recent study and I'm not going to cite it because I don't have it in front of me, but and if you guys need me to send a link for resources, I'm happy to do that. But I did read a recent study where they were citing, I don't want to say any brand names, but some very popular brand names of lube. And they were very concerned within the study that the results showed that all of those chemicals and toxins were prohibiting conception.
Yeah.
Because it kills sperm. Yeah. That sperm cannot survive. It suffocates, right? And I'm not a sperm. I don't know how they're feeling, but I'm assuming it's like it suffocates it on some level, right? Or just straight out kills it because it's such a toxic chemical, such a toxic product that it cannot survive. And so the study that I was reading, they were studying the effects of lubricant on conceiving a baby. And the fact that we haven't already looked at that boggles my mind.
Really?
So many women have infertility issues. So many women are TTC for like 5 years and there's no baby. So we really need to be looking at everything, right? And not just the popular stuff, in my opinion.
Right. That is a tremendous thing that you mentioned, because really no one has been. And women these days are having a harder time having babies than women in my generation and earlier. And something has changed.
Something has changed. And I love that you bring this up. I could create a whole series on this, because when we look at the environment that we're living in now, you would think that it would be much easier to make a baby in 2022, because look at all the access that most people have to some sort of healthcare, some sort of doctor, some sort of, help in this area. You can get even grants that cover all of this TTC stuff now. I had a friend who was trying to have a baby. They'd been trying for 5 years, couldn't do it. They wanted to do IVF. He was a veteran. The government helped pay for their IVF. So my point is
wow.
Yeah. So all the veterans out there, look into government funded IVF grants. They're out there. They exist. And I know that it's out there for other people as well, not just veterans. But that was his experience. But my point is, you think it'd be so easy to have a baby, but people are actually finding infertility on the rise. And I wonder, what does her diet look like? Okay, you eat vegetables. Are they full of pesticides? Were they grown in soil that has no pH level left at all? Are they grown with things that Monsanto's been sprayed on? Right. And then you add in hormonal fluctuations from all the perfumes and makeup and whatever else. And then you add a crappy lube, and no wonder you're not pregnant. So it just compounds.
That makes so much sense. I just think that I'm glad that more is being done about the human body, especially the female human body. People are starting to care. So I appreciate that.
Right. It's time, and as much as I hate social media and think it's kind of a negative on our society, I also find it to be so impactful for these exact conversations and topics. I think because of social media, you have so many women posting, this is what my post-baby body actually looks like. This is what my experience with my infertility journey actually was. This is how endometriosis makes me feel 4 weeks out of every month. Oh, guess what? That's every day of the month. And because of social media, we're having that influx of conversations. I mean, I see menopause groups pop up all the time on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm like, this is amazing. People are connecting on topics that they never would have talked about before, or would have been with their closest female relatives, and not a widespread global outreach. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
Right. Definitely. Yes. And I love that how your thing touches from starting your menstrual cycle all the way. Yeah. Until it's your time to, leave this world. Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's I mean, I'm like, well, really, I should say like 0 to 100, but it's really not 0. It's like 12 to 100.
Yes.
And really, and I mean, and I think that, for example, one of the things that I found with Chiavaye is on my menstrual cycle, I have endometriosis, incredibly tough periods. After 7 days of putting Ultra Plus tampons in my vagina, I am dried out and uncomfortable, and I can't stick another one up there. And Chiavaye, before I founded Chiavaye, I didn't know that I could put lube on a tampon, right? For easier insertion.
Right.
And so now that I have Chiavaye, I use that during my period, and suddenly going through 3 boxes of tampons in a week isn't such a chore, and it doesn't feel so awful. And so you're right. I mean, there's a million uses for my product or other products like it that we just haven't talked about yet.
Right. And I never even thought about putting lube on a tampon. Yeah. My first experience of a tampon is when I was real young, and I didn't even know how to put it in. So yes, but now doing that would, much easier for young ladies and young girls. Yeah. And it's time that we'd start talking about it and teaching it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the issues is, like you mentioned, with you, like not knowing how to use a tampon, which is, so many women experience that. But that those muscles are so tight, and you put a tampon in that for the first time, and it hurts.
I passed out, and this was in high school. Yes, I did.
Oh wow.
So, yes.
I believe you. I guarantee you're also not the last woman who has done that. I believe you.
Yes.
And why have we not talked about putting a lube on a tampon for easier insertion? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because people think it looks like a dildo and it's sexual. And then it goes back to that whole over-sexualization of female health.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I could preach on this all day because it just ruffles my panties.
Yes, but this has been so wonderful. And I also been on your website, and you have a lot of good educational stuff out there.
Yes, key-ah-vay.com. We do nothing but free resources. Sometimes I do free endometriosis seminars, inflammation diet seminars, and everything I do is free for women on that website because I think that we all deserve access to free resources that we're not getting. So there's menopause, sexual health, intimacy, endo, mother. There's lots of articles. We do everything is well researched, well resourced. You can click all the resource links. So yeah, it's all available there. And I would love to send both of you guys Chiavaye products for sure to have and try because this has been such a delightful conversation.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Yes, well, thank you so much for being on the show. Yes, we're coming up, going to show you a commercial so people know how to connect with it, how to find it at Walmart and other places. Yes, and thank you so much again for being a guest on the show.
Thank you both so much. Thanks. Do you have a vagina? If you answered yes, then Chiavaye is for you. I'm serious. Chiavaye is a multi-use personal moisturizer and lubricant. We use all natural ingredients and it is certified organic, safe for sensitive skin, and allergen-free. Chiavaye is beloved by gynecologists and pelvic floor physical therapists. They recommend it to their patients and use it in their practices. You can use Chiavaye daily as a personal moisturizer to alleviate dryness, discomfort, and irritation, or use it as a lubricant to enhance passion and pleasure during intimacy. You can find Chiavaye in your local Walmart stores, online at our key-ah-vay.com website, in natural grocery stores, or Erewhon Market. Chiavaye is the one-stop shop for female personal care. You're going to love it. Live, laugh, lube.
Wow. She's beautiful and has a beautiful product.
Yes. And from the moment that commercial came on, I loved it.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. I learned so much.
Absolutely. This was such a much needed and breath of fresh air conversation. I'm so glad. I guess it couldn't have came at a better time.
Yes. Yes. And I like that it's a product for sexual health and wellness of health of the vagina for the full span of life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I love that live, laugh, lube.
Yes.
Well, that was definitely an amazing show that we had. And we have some more amazing shows coming up in the next couple weeks. So coming up on the 31st, so next week we have Getting Ready for Something Real and Relationship Bootcamp book with author and certified relationship coach, Roy Biancalana. Finally got that right, huh? On April the 7th, we have Renee Willenstein, a double board certified doctor who has been working with women for over 20 years, talks bringing your sexy back for women's libido. Then on April 14th, we have Karen Freeland. She's going to talk about something that we said here. Vagina is not a dirty word. And then on the 21st of April, we have Kelly Calabrese with Self-Love for Singles. Loaded. And I think it all kind of flows from today. It all slides in.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And this has been, this is Women's Month. And I just love the product that she just talked about. And I was just thinking, Chiavaye, if you're out there as a woman and you're thinking, I have sisters and I still haven't, or friends that I haven't gotten a gift for Women's Month, this would be a great gift for Women's Month. And also even a gift for your mom for Mother's Day.
Absolutely. That's a good idea. You know what? I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. That's what it just came to me as a thought. Yes.
I
Yes.
have a women's retreat coming up in October, and sexual health is actually a part of that. So that would definitely be a good thing to put in those welcome baskets.
Yes. Good. Yes. Definitely. Yes. So this has been a wonderful show. Thank you so much, Coach K. Thank you, Kaylyn, for coming on our show. And we will see you guys next week. This has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back. We hope you enjoyed it. You can also find us at bringingintimacyback.com and Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. Dr. April Brown's 5-book series, Improving Intimacy, is now on Amazon, available in Kindle, Audible, or paperback. We'll see you next Thursday live at 3:30 p.m.